I struggle with an art style. Every time that I try to make an illustration, I feel like I have to make fan art of something that I like, because it's easier to copy an existing character design than to give it my own twist. And while I was scrolling through YouTube for video ideas, I stumbled upon a video from our Saitama of the art industry, Mark Brunet. In that video, he said, copy everything as a beginner, copy photos, copy other artists, copy real life, copy all things. And my brain was like, wait, that's actually one of the best beginner advice I've ever heard. But will it work? Like, honestly, at the end of the day, it just sounded fun. So in this video, I'm going to show you my journey trying to replicate the art style of a mangaka that I really like, called Yusuke Murata, the artist for the One Punch Man manga. Now, don't get your hopes up, because I don't expect to get to Murata's level in like a week, because I didn't. It took me like 3 weeks and I barely reached his toes. Like, just look at his art. Like, this is insane. But I can try anyways. So, the challenge. I set myself 3 challenges for this video. Number 1, I will attempt to replicate the face design of at least one character. I'm talking about construction, eyes, nose, line weight, hatching, shadows, hair shapes, yada yada yada, proportions. And I decided to study Garou, because he's one of my favorite characters. Then I'm gonna redraw at least one manga page or panel as close as I can. And the last one is draw the studied character in a pose of my choosing, basically making a fan art that mixes both his style and my own from imagination. So no references from this one. Now, a heavy disclaimer. Neither Brunet Sensei nor I are condoning plagiarism. This isn't a steal somebody's art and claim it's yours. This is for studying, learning what makes the style work so you can grow your own. As a reference point, here are my first blind attempts. I was playing around with the idea before even making this video, and as you can see, they are pretty bad. So I'll count this as day 1, and the real study starts after this. So, the next day was about understanding Murata's proportions for Garou. I went on Pinterest, grabbed a bunch of references, different angles, expressions, and started deconstructing the face. If you're unfamiliar with deconstruction, it is just making something complex and breaking it down into simple shapes, then building a formula that works from different angles, like the Loomis method but with tweaks based on the character. First step is always observation. When I looked at Garou, I noticed he's sharp in every sense. Sharp eyes, sharp chin, sharp nose, sharp hair, and he's insanely expressive, especially with the eyebrows. You can feel emotion just from the eyebrows and the eye angle alone. So I tried my first construction, and yeah, I didn't look so good. Part of what I believed was the problem is that the reference that I chose was super expressive, and the goal of construction is to work regardless of expression and angle, so I tried to find something that was a little bit more neutral. Then on my next attempt, I started being more careful with distances, like the hairline to the eyebrows, eyebrows to nose, nose to the chin, the different proportions of the Loomis method. And I noticed something very important. The side plane cuts on his head, they are very far back on the construction lines, closer to the edges of the circle, not near like the center like I usually place them. Also, his hair is huge. Like the hair mass from the hairline to the tip of his hair is almost the size of the head itself. And by attempt 3, it started to look more polished. And what surprised me is, even though Garou's eyes are super long and sharp, when you place them correctly, they still look believable and very cool in my opinion. Also, the visor area where the eye sockets sit. In Murata's faces, it's placed a little higher than I do, and there's more space before the nose as well. And the chin is actually way more meaty than I thought when you look at it closely. After a few tries, I realized that the facial sections are kind of evenish. The main thing is that the face feels a bit longer, and if Garou tilts down, the nose ball almost touches the lower head mass. At that point, I was like, okay, this construction is good enough to start practicing with. So I tested it by trying to make a drawing of my own, by remembering a reference that I had but without actually looking at it. And after like 5 minutes, I ended up with this. The funny part is, when you overlay my drawing and the reference, my 2 biggest errors were the eye shape and that the jaw was way too thin. But overall, it was a pretty close attempt, and that's the whole point. So now that I know my mistakes, I tried to fix them. So the next day was learning the features of Garou's face. The biggest demon here was the eyes. I kept missing that sharp, squinted Murata look. So I traced the eye shape once, just once, to understand the design, and then I tried to reconstruct it logically by boxing it and finding a simple shape that I could repeat. Then I also tried to understand the nose and the mouth. Murata is a master of showing a lot with very little. Like when the teeth are clenched behind a mostly closed mouth, it's so minimal but it reads perfectly. I struggled with that a lot. Then I started drawing faces from references. On one of them, I think I actually did a good job with the eyes, but the mouth, like, man, I don't know why it was so hard for me to do. I think I was trying to copy the lines instead of understanding the logic behind it. And the hair, I messed it up badly early on. But the more I drew it, the more I started seeing the patterns in the shapes, like big grouped strands and direction changes. And it got easier over time. Some faces were okay, some were brutal to try to do, and when it got brutal, I tried to do something that I think is very important, which was I tried to draw Garou from imagination at a different angle, just as an exercise. And it came out, not terrible. I still had these eye issues, but it was progress. At this point, I felt close enough that if I keep correcting the same errors, I will start solving it. So I said, alright, let's try to do a pose. I found a dynamic pose of Garou on Pinterest and then I tried to draw it. And I wanted to push myself, so I chose something that would be a little bit hard, something dynamic. Bad idea. It took me like 37 minutes, and when I compared it side by side to the reference, I made a ton of mistakes. The head size was wrong. The body was way too slim, foreshortening was not working, and the hands and the legs were not being pushed correctly. So I tried again, and I failed again, and again. I even deconstructed the reference itself with simple shape, but still I felt stuck. So I stopped and asked, okay, what's my actual problem here? And the answer was fundamentals. It was nothing necessarily related to Murata's art style. It was just anatomy, perspective, and foreshortening. So I did a detour. I found a 3D torso model online, which is gonna be linked in the description if you're interested in using it, and then I started drawing it from multiple angles. The goal was to train my brain to understand the torso turning in space. Then I grabbed the torso references and did a mannequin practice, using perspective lines and guides, because Murata loves drawing Garou in insane angles, and I needed perspective to make my brain understand how to place the body in 2D. After a few days, I got this. Not amazing, but not terrible. And the next attempt took me like 20 minutes, and I was actually surprised. It was starting to click in my head. Then I tried an even more extreme angle, and it was still wonky, but I could feel the improvement just a little bit. The face was still not perfect, and you can definitely tell the difference between Murata's confident shapes and mine. And then I tried one more and failed so bad that I didn't even finish. At that point I went, okay, how does Murata actually draw things? And the only video that I found from him drawing from scratch was him drawing Fubuki, and he deadass just wings it. Like, it's insane. He starts with a circle and then like 5 seconds later and you get like a full ass drawing, which is crazy to me. But it gave me an idea. What if I wing it too, but in a structured way? So I started with super simple gesture and shapes to get the pose, then locked in perspective with a mannequin, then build the body on top. And that method worked way better. I ended up with this. And it finally felt like I was solving the exact issue I was stuck on, placing the body in perspective while keeping the pose dynamic. So after that progress, I did one more attempt before the manga panel, and this turned out, which is really not that bad. But I felt like I was ready enough to be able to do the next challenge. Now for challenge number 2, I decided to redraw a manga page from one of my favorite fights, Garou versus Bug God and Royal Reaper. And let me tell you, this was hard. It took me over 4 hours to finish a single page, and just the sketch took me like 45 minutes. I'm going to speed this up because otherwise we will be here all day, and of course I cannot show you the full page of the manga as I'm drawing this, but I will show you close-up comparisons later on in the video. One thing that helped a lot was laying down perspective lines first. It gave me a better sense of the angle and spacing before I started drawing the characters. And for the action lines, I will admit it, I cheated a little bit. I found the brush and clip studio assets to help me make the speed lines, but like, listen, like the tool exists, and especially for studying or making manga, it makes sense to use it. The goal wasn't handcraft every line, the goal was to learn the look and the flow and how he actually does his drawings, like the art style of Murata. Now, it's not perfect, Garou is still a bit off and some angles don't match exactly, but overall I think it was a decent redraw as a study, and this is the end result of that. Now mind you, this is like 2 weeks into the study. Now I wanted to compare this to the original source because that's how you actually learn. I recommend this, like show your redraw and your reference to a friend or a family member so you can get a fresh pair of eyes. Now my friend basically told me 3 important things. Number 1, the line art and the form definition. For whatever reason, I seem to be afraid of thicker lines. Like my brush size and line weight stayed too timid, so my line work starts weak. I can of course refine it later, sure, but like if this were a real manga page and I already spent 4 hours in it, you can't be refining forever. Then the second mistake was the hatching and the smudges. Murata's hatching has like this gradation and rhythm. It transitions from thin to thick and then connects naturally to the shadow masses. Mine was too thin and too uniform, which I feel like this problem connects directly to the issue of line weight that I had before. And then there's the aspect of contrast. Murata will straight up drop a bold black shape to control focus, like making the forearm black so your eyes go to the hand and blade, or adding more face shading so the expression pops. I didn't push that enough, but now that I know the mistakes, I can actually apply them to the final challenge. Now for challenge number 3, I made a fanart from imagination using what I learned. I tried a few ideas and failed, like hard. Then I stopped and I realized what I was missing: flow. Murata's panels have flow because speed lines and shadow shapes guide your eyes. They focus attention, they push motion, they direct the viewer. So I thought, what if I use speed lines not just as an effect, but as a composition tool? Since I drew Royal Reaper in the manga study, I thought it would be fun to draw a conclusion moment from the manga in a different angle, with Garou as the focus of course. And this time I followed the new process. Simple lines and shape first, find the dynamism, then construct over it, and then you can refine it. And oh my gosh, I loved it. I've never had this much fun making a drawing. I'm not even joking, I felt proud. Like, I don't care if you like it or not, I feel proud of this drawing. And after 2 hours of grinding, line art, and refining, I ended up with this. It's not perfect, I can still improve the hatching and contrast, I'll admit it, but going from this to this is a step forward, a real step forward, at least in my opinion, of course. So in conclusion, thank you, Margaret, for the incredible advice that you gave me, and us, the audience. Copying an art style for studying is actually a very good advice, and it really helped me a lot. And the biggest surprise was how much faster I improved once I stopped guessing and started observing, not only the reference, but also my mistakes. And if you're curious to know which video of Murata I'm referring to, you can find it in the video description. And if you like the video, please like and subscribe, and leave a comment below what you think about the study and the final drawing. Keep drawing, never stop practicing, and I'll see you in the next one.